Hey YouTubers, so sorry it has been so long since I've been on here, but that is what this video is all about, is what have I been up to the past month and a half. So here it goes. Okay, so here's how it went. I did a lot of the cutting myself, a lot of making strips for myself. So I was working really fast as I could because I had so much to do all on my own. And so I had processes that weren't quite fast because I was working so hard that I didn't have time to think about doing things faster and better. So here's an example of the elastic. I found a more efficient way and I'll show you later. I had just that little cup of elastic that I was putting it in. I laugh at that because I have a bigger one now. I was doing shipping all by myself and taping the labels, which were super duper slow and inefficient. But I got them out the door and customers got their packages, but it was just overwhelmingly too much work for me. So I ended up hiring 2 people because there were just way too many orders coming in. Okay, so good morning. It is not about looking beautiful today or any other day of the week during this quarantine because I have a ton of work to do. I have been working on shipping last night, and this morning I'm going to be working on it as well. I have 2 of my friends coming over who are working for me. We got a little bit behind over the weekend because I was tired, and there was one night I think I got about 2 hours of sleep or something because I was working so much. I just needed a break over the weekend. Note that a break actually means stopping work at 10 instead of 1 a.m. in the morning. So we had to catch up today. So this is what I'm working on. I have 2 of these bins packaged, and I have all those that need to be packaged, as well as these. I was up late last night trying to get them finished. Okay, so coming to this board over here, these are the strips, and this tells me what exactly needs to be done. So usually before Joanna and Sonia come, I try and prep things. I like to have strips cut so that they can just get going. So when I actually have a fabric cut, I like to check it off. Thankfully, this box came in. It is my box of aluminum that goes in the nose area, and I've been having such a hard time getting this to come in. So it is a wee bit messy in here. I need to reorganize it, but I got a third machine, a third industrial machine, because we had so many straight stitches that needed to be done. The serger and the other machine just was not cutting it. Oh yeah, and let me tell you about this. We call this a blank cake because a mask without straps is called a blank. These are all blanks ready to be strapped, and my friend Anne has been working on these in her house. She doesn't work here, but she works at her home. Joanna showed up, and I have her doing shipping right now. So, and then we're waiting for Sonia to come. She has to get all of these in the mail into the third bin. So, yeah. Yep, it'll be fun. So we'd start off the day sewing the strips once everyone shows up, and it would just be strips upon strips upon strips, and it would be this big pile of strips. And then we would take all those strips and flip them right side out so we can go and press them open on the next step, which my dad invented this tool that makes it so much easier, and I'll be showing you that in a minute here. Here I am sliding the sleeve inside so it makes it flat and easier to press it down. So the sides are nice and crispy and there's no lumps or anything like that. So once I take that out, I start pleating it, and there are about 3 rows of that. So it takes a little bit to set the tone for the first pleat and go all the way down the strip. Took a little bit of practice to get used to this part. And here I am working on the second pleat and going all the way down once again. I bought a pleater board, but somehow I just never could get used to it. So here goes the third pleat, and once that one is finished, I usually like to cut them all at one time, so I take them to the cutting mat over here, and I layer them 4 on top of each other. However, there's only 2 here, but here's Sonia doing the 4 layers, and cutting them with a ruler. After they are cut into 9 inches, we take the ruler and scoop them up and carry them over to the serger, because the next step is to put the bars in them, and that is what Joanna is working on here. She is putting these little notches to keep the bar to stay inside. And this is the aluminum that we were using to put inside the masks, and we sand them first to make sure that they don't poke holes into the fabric. And then we insert them into the casing that we created inside the mask, and then we just stack them, and then
After that is done, then we take it to the cutting board and we start cutting the elastic and unravel it off the roll, and then we start spreading it out into rows so that we can cut them all at one time instead of one piece at a time like I was doing before. So once all those rows are all laid out, then we snip the ends, and then we take the roller and we roll them all at one time and then gather them all up, and then we just slip them right back into the bin. We take them over to the serger, and this is where the straps begin. We serge them and stick the straps in there, and they will be eventually flipped over and re-stitched down again so it's extra secure. And here we are working together. Joanna's notching, I'm putting the bars in, and Sonia is working on the serger. And here's the next step. After the serger, you flip them over, kind of hard to explain, and then you re-stitch them down. And as we're stitching them down, instead of just letting the whole row go down the back of the table, we like to roll it. So it ends up being like a roll of masks, and it's easier to move around the room, and then it's easier for Sonia to cut them apart because she unrolls them and she snips them all at the same time. And that cuts a lot of snipping. We don't have to sit there at the table dealing with this big mound. It's just a straight shot. And then we stack them, and then they go over to the shipping table.
Okay, so here's my friend Lydia. I have her doing the shipping, and she's walked into my mess of a process here. So she gave me some pointers. I'm going to organize it a little bit more tonight. Okay, so I looked at Walmart and I found this rack here for shoes, and I can put my bins on there. And the rack is slightly tilted so you can actually see which masks are in which bin. And so here you can see stone gray dots, and this apparently was the tropical print before it sold out. All right, and now I'm ready to take these packages to the post office.
And I'm thankful for my small SUV because it made it much easier to transport all of the packages to the post office. So one disappointing thing is I accidentally ordered 110 yards of natural flannel, so I decided to send it back because the specs might look like dirt to my customers.
So that is how I spent my actual quarantine time. It was probably the hardest I've ever worked in my entire life, and I hope I never have to work harder than that because that was super intense. So I ended up having to put the brakes on it after a while and just send everyone home because I just had to have a life. I'm hoping that things will get back to normal. I will be posting more on YouTube now that the masks have kind of faded away. I'm slowly making that transition, so I will at least be posting once a week. I have a few other extra videos coming out soon, so keep your eyes peeled, subscribe, like this video as well, because I'm actually going to do another video on some of my new equipment that I got. So stay tuned, and I will see you all next time. Someone's getting... Huh? I got a text from somebody that they're getting Chick-fil-A for dinner.